What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? You were worried I wasn't going to do a live stream? I'm here. I'm here. So I was, let's see, it's been kind of a crazy week, just exhausted, doing a lot of videos, editing a lot of videos. That's been taking up a lot of my time. Got this too high tonight. So yeah, I was a little bit slow on getting everything up and running here. I just put the link to this live stream up this morning. So definitely behind on my organizing everything. So I do apologize about that, but no live giveaways this week. Just again, I've been trying to play catch up with a bunch of review videos, and everything that I end up giving away is always something that I first review. So don't want to part with anything before I'm fully done with those videos. But yeah, we'll have some more stuff next week. So this is going to be a little bit more casual of a live stream, but we're going to have a good time. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody's week been? Let's have some fun. I am down. So let's see. I do have next week's giveaway right here, though, because I literally just finished doing the review video on this, and I still have to edit it. So I'm hoping this comes out tomorrow, actually. But this is the Codlix mini PC right here, and this is from Minis Forum, actually. It's a sub-brand of Minis Forum, and it's honestly a really awesome mini PC. Actually, I'll show you guys around it right now. This video will probably be out tomorrow, worst case Sunday. So this is it right here. Kind of a no-thrills sort of look to it, in all honesty, but it's a powerhouse, and I was surprised by what this actually offers. It also has 3 display options here, and yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm actually going to see if I can lower this desk today. I was just doing a video earlier. Let's see. There we go. Much better. So kind of out of whack here, but I was doing a video. If you can actually kind of see, I always do this wrong. Let's see. Do I go? No. See, every time I overthink it, I go the opposite way. Over here, this was the NFL Blitz cabinet. So I've been working on this, and I just did a video, or I've been actually filming little bits and pieces as I tackle the project. So in the end, I can end up with a full video of the transformation, and then eventually I'm going to mod it internally as well. So it'll be this, in-depth video of the entire transformation from modding it internally and swapping out graphics externally. So I've been working on that, and I was just doing a video with this kit that I got from Amazon that has like the squeegees, and basically it's an entire kit that is used for vinyl wrapping cars, but I'm using it for the arcade cabinet, and it works perfectly. So that's what I was working on prior to this live stream today. Rear-ended somebody Tuesday, so not the best week for me. Everyone's okay, though. Well, that's good. At least everybody's doing all right. But that definitely puts a damper on your week for sure. Whitman, what's going on, man? Yep, definitely. Yeah, that's a bummer for Biggie there, but as long as everybody's all right, that's all that matters in the end. Found your channel a few days ago. So far, I'm hooked on your reviews. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I've been trying to do more and more reviews. And honestly, I've been working with a lot of the companies that make mini PCs have reached out to me, which is always fun, but I'm trying to kind of go my own direction again. It seems like it's awesome to work with these companies that send you free stuff, but it definitely gets tiring at the same time to, feel like you're now on somebody else's schedule with putting stuff out, even though all the companies are great and have been wonderful to deal with in that they don't try to manipulate or tell you what to say or anything like that. They actually want honest reviews because they actually want to know what the feedback is so they can better their, product lines and stuff. But trying to do a little bit more of the stuff that like interests me as opposed to stuff that I feel like I kind of have to do. So mini PCs, though, that was a bad example because I actually really enjoy doing the mini PC reviews. But, some of like controllers and stuff like that. Although the last one I did, which was Mac and Ike, I was a huge fan of all the stuff that I have. I'm still using the keyboard right here, which has got this amazing RGB lighting. I don't know if you guys can see that. Really awesome. And then I'm using their mouse as well here. Where's the camera? There we go. So let's see. How do you feel about videos about Ace Magic mini PCs that are supposedly infected by spyware? Did you run into this with your experiences? So I didn't. And that's an awesome question, actually. So I actually reached out to the company. Why does this damn thing keep jumping up on me? Losing my mind. Sorry, guys. I feel like yeah, look at it. It keeps going up on its own. All right. Yeah, so that's a great question because I've reviewed Ace Magic quite a bit here on the channel, and I have not had that issue. And I always scan everything. I believe the malware that was found on those was in the Chrome browser, if I'm not mistaken, which was on there by default, which is odd. So yeah, if you scan your PCs, you should find any malware that would be hidden on there, but it's definitely an issue. I didn't experience it firsthand. Always scan everything. I scan drives as well. And I want to talk about that tonight too, as we've kind of gotten onto this topic of spyware and malware and all that stuff. So I do want to address the game drives too, because I reviewed a game drive a couple days ago, the Kinhank 12 terabyte drive, and a lot of people were talking about the risk of having, potential spyware and viruses and all that shit on there. So I do want to talk about that. But with Ace Magic, I actually reached out to them because I do have a working relationship with them. I've reviewed several of their products, and the last two they actually sent me. So I've bought stuff from them, but they've also sent me the last two products that I reviewed, free. So I talked to them. They said that basically what had happened was somebody at the not within their company, but somebody at the factory had basically put malware out there onto a select number of units. So I guess they've figured that out. They have corrected that issue, but yeah, I don't know how many units actually went out with that issue. So it's definitely concerning, and I have yet to dive back into an Ace Magic product. I actually have a laptop from them that I'm going to be doing a video on, but I have to go through that a little bit more in depth, and I want to make sure that that doesn't have anything on it. And if it does, I'm going to address that in the video and obviously point that out. So great question, and I'm glad that somebody asked that because that's definitely concerning. And in all honesty, I think that proves, though, that we as consumers have to be aware of the possibility of risks like that, even when we're buying brand new products, which is something that I think most people don't even think of. You assume that when you get a product brand new in the box, you should not have to worry about malware or viruses being present on that. And I think most people just assume that, and then therefore they don't do an actual scan on their system. So if anything, I think that it is actually good because now we're aware that there's risk to us no matter what we buy, how we buy it, whether it's brand new or not. So unfortunately, it's just one of those things where we're living in a crazy world where people are always out to get our information. So I would say scan everything that you get, whether you're getting it secondhand or you're getting it brand new, because obviously these are issues that are going on in today's world. So unfortunate that that is going on, but it is what it is, and we have to adapt with the times, I suppose. So let me dive into these comments here because I'm getting behind now, but I do want to address that with game drives because that's something that a lot of people talk about. So let's see what we've got going on here. And Digitizer, good to see you here. Thank you guys for always showing up. Jeff's here as well. TJ, thank you guys so much. Broke Daddy Gamer. A lot of you guys are always here, so I always appreciate the continued support here on the channel. Let's see. Gen Master B, you as well, of course. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to jump down here, and you guys know the deal. There's not as many of us today because I didn't, promote this week, and I know a lot of people thought I was going to kind of skip this week, so we have a lower number than what we typically have. But if you guys ask me a question and I don't get back to you, I'm not avoiding you. Just ask it again because oftentimes I'm always playing catch up like that right there. I answer one question, it goes on for a couple minutes because I want to be thorough, and then I miss a bunch of people's comments and questions and all that. Watch your show about Amazon's President's Day sale. Nice. Find any great deals on good, inexpensive game machines. Yeah, there's some, in terms of game machines, as in like plug and play setups, not so much with that stuff. I found a lot of stuff with like mini PCs, some of which aren't truly great deals if you really dive into it. Like I mentioned that a couple times that, they're kind of highlighting like the retail price and the sale price, might be 30% off, but realistically they never sell for the retail price. So that was the case with some of them, as I mentioned. But for the most part, you're saving a few bucks at the very least there. So definitely some good stuff to comb through. And then I think that the gaming accessories were some pretty sweet deals there too for like headsets and stuff like that. So a couple nice mice, or what's the proper way to call this? Like if there's more of these, is it mice or is it mouses? Doesn't sound right, but I guess you would call this mice if you're talking about duplicates. And I'm always going the wrong direction here. And I got to figure out why this is giving me so much trouble today. So bear with me here, guys. We're having technical difficulties. Why this keeps jumping up. There we go. I think we got it now. I don't much. It's been a little while. That's my board, though, that I'll use like when I go out with my stepson. But I can't afford to get hurt now. I have too many kids and too much going on. So that's pretty stable, though. So I'll take that out, but yeah, level ground, and I'm not trying to break a hip or get hurt or anything. Not that I'm that old, but yeah, not as much as I used to. But let's see. Yeah, I was surprised that video got as many views as it did. I thought that would be, what I would consider a dud, a couple hundred views. It was stuff that I came across and I was like, you know what? There's some pretty sweet finds in here. And it wasn't really hyped up on Amazon either. The President's Day sale, it wasn't like Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So I figured, let me just do a live stream sort of pre-recorded video and highlight some of this stuff. And it seemed to do pretty well. So, and there's my wife. Yeah. So I went sledding the other day. I actually put a short video up of that. And I was surprisingly not as sore as they probably should have been. But yeah, that pads you. That's not like being on pavement. Mices. I don't think that's accurate. I think mice. Mices. Maybe that's right. I don't know. I just find a way to not use it in talking about multiples. I always try to just make it singular because I'm confident in it being a mouse. But yeah, the multiple of that is not something I'm confident with. That's true. I was wondering how that was going to pan out for me today because part of it too is that I didn't hype it. Like usually I do that video early in the week talking about what we're going to cover and all that stuff. But yeah, I didn't do that this week. There was absolutely no prep to this, and I didn't even put the video link together until this morning. So kind of figured it would be a smaller crowd today, but that is certainly a good point. So, and I will have some more giveaways as well. I have plenty of stuff here, but it was just a matter of me trying to catch up on some sleep this week. And the videos that I did do were a little bit more involved, especially that 12 terabyte tour video that I did. Even though it didn't take many edits, it's like an hour and 20-minute long video. So I had to watch that back, obviously, as I edited it, and then uploading it took longer, just everything in general soaked up a lot more time. And then filming it, of course, took up a while as well. So next week I'll be giving away this mini PC, and this video should come out, I want to say tomorrow, but I don't know. I got to edit quite a bit left on it tonight, so it just depends how late I end up staying up tonight. But either tomorrow or Sunday that will come out now that football's over. I've been not doing anything on Sundays because it's tough to compete with the NFL, so people just weren't watching videos on Sundays. So I kind of fell off with those, but maybe that'll be a Sunday night review video this week. We'll have to see, how long it takes me to edit it and all that stuff. So, but that will be a giveaway next week. And I guess it would be a good time to mention that I want to change the format of my Friday night live streams. 2 weeks ago, I had Heck and Steve on, and I loved that sort of setup here. It was fun because I got to interact with you guys, but also have somebody else on as well to interact with you guys and to kind of bounce questions off and just, I think, improve how we interact here on the channel and on the live stream as well. So I'm going to be bringing in some guests, not every Friday, but a couple Fridays a month. And one person that I've talked to now, and I mentioned this last week, I was going to reach out to him, is Retro Ralph. And I always have to make sure I'm careful with that because I always want to say Wreck-It Ralph, but Retro Ralph, and was awesome to talk to. He agreed that he wanted to actually come on and do a live stream with me, so that'll be fun. He doesn't collaborate with a lot of people, so it was it was cool to hear that he wanted to collaborate with me. I know we've both followed each other's channels for a while, but we've never actually, had any communication. So it was nice to kind of catch up with him and, get acquainted. So we're going to do that. I don't know when exactly. We're still trying to iron out an exact date. And then I have some other people that I've talked to casually about coming on. I think Heck and Steve will probably come back on too at some point. So it'll just be another fun way. And then another idea that I had was to bring some of you guys in. So I can invite whoever I want on here, as long as you have a webcam. And usually there's obviously a microphone built into that sort of setup. So I can bring a few of you guys on here if you guys want to be a guest sometime. I think that would be a fun way to keep this fun and exciting and interactive. So if you guys are interested in that, not everybody wants to be on camera or wants to be heard and all that. I know that some people just strictly want to be viewers, but we have that option as well. So I think it'll be kind of fun ways to keep this exciting and interesting for everyone. So let me know what you guys think about that. But let me catch up on some of these comments over here in the live chat. I'm glad this is finally stabilized. I appreciate that very much. And I appreciate everybody every week that shows up. But yeah, it's cool to see that people still come in even when there's not the chance at getting something for free. So that's always good. That's all right, though. You don't have to. What was it about, if you don't mind saying? But yeah, that's all right. There's a lot of videos out there that are almost identical. I mean, just look at like the DK Oldies saga that unfolded. At this point, it's been several months, but all of us were covering basically the same content in all honesty, but everybody has a different opinion. Everybody has a different twist. Even if the subject matter's almost identical, everybody's relatable in different ways. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And that's happened to me before too. And usually maybe I'll just kind of stagger it a little bit. But yeah, I would say don't scrap it, because your take on something or your delivery is going to resonate with different people different ways. So, nobody is 100% locking in any corner of any market here on YouTube. You can fire away at the same content and you're going to still have an audience. I don't believe I have. Don't believe I have. It's not ringing any bells anyways. The Shure 7 is good. And one thing I want to actually address about that is I believe I called it the Shure 7 Max. And that is because the listing that I bought on Amazon, which was direct from B-Link, had it labeled as the Shure 7 Max. And then as soon as I put out that video, they changed the listing. So now it just says Shure 7. So I don't know if there was a disconnect with them, but I was just going off of what was, on the listing for the product that I picked up. So apparently it's just the Shure 7, and that's what they're going with these days. And I actually saw it on their website too, two different ways, and now everything seems to just be Shure 7. So in case anybody was confused about all of that, that's the deal there. But yeah, it's a great option. The Shure 6 Max will save you a few bucks though. Take a look at that one too if you want to save. I think it was like $230 last week. I don't know if it's changed. Prices fluctuate like crazy these days. So let me jump in here. Is that a continuation? There we go. Okay. Morphine S5. I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with that one, but I am familiar with the processor on board there. So pretty decent stuff. I would imagine it's capable of quite a lot. This one right here, which will be the next review video in the next day or two, definitely surprised me too. And this is a sub-brand of Minis Forum. So definitely capable of quite a lot, I would say. I'll give you guys a little spoiler. PS3 was a little dicey on there. Everything else ran very well though. So definitely solid option. Sweet. Thank you, Orlando, for the input there. Yeah, we've been 3 months strong now, I think, with the giveaway. So I'm grateful to be able to do that. And if I wasn't behind on videos, I'd be doing it again tonight. So I'm just off by like 2 days on that review video. Otherwise, we would have had one tonight. But yeah, for sure. I think it's nice to have this smaller crowd too. In all honesty, I always hang back a little bit longer after these live streams. I'll do like 2 hours typically, and the first hour we usually have a couple hundred people. After the giveaways die down, it certainly quiets down quite a bit, and we can kind of interact a little bit more. So I definitely like that vibe too. So less is more sometimes. Next thing you know, he'll be interviewing Putin. Maybe I don't know. I don't foresee that one happening, but you never know, right? Had someone recently argue with me that micro SD cards don't go corrupt or fail. Ooh, hate to have that stance because that's just not true. I thought that I thought they can, especially the ones that come with those preloaded plug and play game boxes. Am I wrong? No, you're totally not wrong at all. Micro SD cards do corrupt. Even the the branded ones like Samsung and SanDisk, they corrupt a whole hell of a lot less. But if you have those generic ones that do come with the majority of handheld consoles or even those like TV box consoles, then yeah, those corrupt a whole hell of a lot. If you unplug them the wrong way, I mean, if you look at them the wrong way, they can, possibly corrupt and fail. So you are 100% right about that. Micro SD cards are very sensitive, and even if you are tweaking things internally with files and folders and stuff like that, like one wrong click and that whole thing could come crashing down on you. So I try to stick with SanDisk and Samsung. Samsung I prefer a little bit over SanDisk in all honesty, but both are reliable. But even with them, I mean, they're still prone to corruptions. So best way to stay ahead of that is to always back up whatever it is you have on there, whether it's just straight up data or if you have an entire gaming setup on there, back it up on your computer, make copies, whatever you can do to just make sure that you have something to rely on if that unfortunately does happen to you. When I was doing setups for Raspberry Pi 4 and I was doing RetroPie, setups, and I was trying to constantly change things, add new games, I had a stack on my desk of micro SD cards like that high. No exaggeration. For that reason, there was no rhyme or reason to it. They would just corrupt randomly whenever I was trying to tweak things. So I would just burn through tons and tons of them at a time. So yes, a long-winded answer is they 100% can and likely will corrupt depending on what brand or, unbranded one you have. Nothing wrong with that. I like the giveaways too. I really enjoy doing them. So I certainly don't take offense to, people being here for the giveaways. There's nothing wrong with that. I was just watching the trailer for X-Men 97 on somebody sent it to me. My buddy Jose sent it to me yesterday on I think it was TikTok that he sent me the link for, but it's coming to Disney Plus. So yeah, I was looking at that the other day. What else do we have? Up to PlayStation on the Raspberry Pi Zero 2. I mean, that's certainly cheap. Yeah, not this week. Not this week. All right. So, anybody asking questions that I didn't respond to, you guys know the deal. Hit me up below. I'm just kind of jumping ahead here because I don't want to get too far behind on the comments. Yeah, we have a great vibe in here. So, I really enjoy it, whether we're doing the giveaways or not. So, and our numbers have creeped up here a little bit too. So, obviously, others feel the same way. They seem to be going up higher and higher. So, I'm grateful for that. Are you going to be doing a Sur 6 or 7 straight up comparison at any point? I kind of did that a little bit in the 7, but no, I don't really have any plans to do like a side by side. I don't have the Sur 6 on hand anymore. Typically with both of those, actually, I bought both of them. What I'll do is I'll do the review video, and because I'm not Mr. Beath wealthy or anything, I will, if when I actually buy stuff, because sometimes I do get stuff sent to me for free, when I buy it, I'll usually sell it at a loss because it's now open box, but I can make up for the difference here on the channel because yes, I do, earn a little bit of money off of the views and stuff. So I kind of just keep it rolling forward. I'll sell it, recoup the money, and then buy something else to continue, reviewing stuff and growing the channel. So that's what I did with the Sur 6. So I don't have that on hand to do a full-on comparison, but I did talk about the spec differences in the Sur 7 video, because that's the biggest comparison. In all honesty, I think that's really the only argument for the Sur 7 is it worth the extra amount of money compared to the previous version? And everybody's opinion on that'll be different, but mine was, I just didn't feel like it was. It is a solid step up, but for $230, and that was the price point difference last week, anyways, and prices do fluctuate on a regular basis, so it could be even different this week. But yeah, I just didn't feel like it was worth the extra money. Light Sun Gaming. So hey guys, check out this guy's channel right here. This is Vito, awesome dude. And he is, just starting out on YouTube himself. So definitely check out what he's got going on. He's got a really sweet arcade cabinet that's absolutely mind blowing. So he does some live streams and stuff like that. And he's got some really cool short form content as well. So definitely check him out. Throw him a subscribe, a few likes his way. And I'll probably bring him on the live stream here in a couple weeks, because he's got some pretty cool stuff that I want to talk about. So just a heads up there, but we're going to keep it moving here in the live chat. This is true right there. They are trying to make copies of everything, or at least get our information and all that stuff. So you do have to be careful with pretty much anything that you hook up to a computer these days. And it's crazy to have to be that paranoid, but we're seeing obviously that, we do have to be concerned, because not even new computers are, 100% safe these days. So definitely eye-opening. Found an older 2014 Mac in the trash. Apple does not support the software anymore, so I started it with a Bottasera USB hard drive, made the Mac into a Bottasera machine. WoW plays PS2. I assume great. That is awesome. It's so great to hear stuff like that, and we're seeing that the market, even on like Amazon, with older, office PCs like the G2 from HP EliteDesk, really a outdated PC. In all honesty, you wouldn't necessarily get that if you want to use it. I mean, you could use it for basic, desktop PC usage, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty dated, but it works great for retro video game emulation. And there's so many mini PCs out there, or just PCs in general, that are a little bit older now, that maybe have some issues. Like a lot of times you'll have network issues, or you'll have issues with the Bluetooth kind of craps out, or Wi-Fi craps out. Well, you could still use those for emulation gaming. You could basically use it as a game console. You don't need to have Wi-Fi. You don't need to have Bluetooth. You can use, controllers that use the USB dongles and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to repurpose older stuff that, especially Mac, you're right. They don't support stuff. Their software is always updating. So the older stuff outdates a lot quicker than, regular PC stuff. Retro giveaway guy. Yeah, not this week. Just retro gaming guy this week. I was surprised on your fake PS5 that it was a decent emulator. You and me both. I put that video together, and I thought that it was just going to be, a video that was kind of laughable in the end, that there's something that just blatantly copies a PS5 sort of look to a console, and it turned out to actually be one of the better plug-and-play setups out there. But I actually found one the other day, and I actually just ordered this. I think it's coming this weekend. So I mentioned before that I do a lot of reviews, obviously, and I'm just going to pull this up, and I'll actually send you guys a link to this, because I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner. But this is from Kinhank, and I just reviewed one of their products the other day. But basically now they're making these mini PCs into consoles, and this actually looks very similar to this mini PC that is my next review video here. Just your typical small, compact mini PC here, but they have basically made this into a game console, and Kinhank is behind this. Let me see the specs on this. 8 gigabyte DDR5 RAM with 256 gigabyte micro SD. Well, let me see. It says 256 gigabyte plus 500 gigabyte. So I don't know what that actually. Maybe there's two different drives installed within this, but let me show you guys the link to this because it's interesting and I'm surprised that it's taken this long for something like this to become a product that's readily available. But I just ordered this, so I'm going to do a review video on it. I haven't seen, there may be other people that are reviewing this, but it looks interesting to me just because it advertises 60,000 built-in games here, 4K dual display. So there's 2 HDMI ports on the back, I believe. $269.99, which is not a cheap price by any means, but if it's truly plug and play and you just hit the power button and connect it over to your TV, it could be pretty interesting here. And it actually doesn't say Kinhank anywhere except on the console, but that's not who's selling it. And it doesn't say that in like the title or anything, but speeds of up to 3.4 gigahertz. It uses an Intel N100 processor, so be interesting to see how that kind of pans out. So I'll do a review video on that. But let me see. So I guess now would be a good time to talk about, I was talking about obviously malware before and the issue with Ace Magic, but a bunch of people commented on my video, which was I think like Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that this week. I did the Kinhank 12 terabyte plug and play game drive that was, I basically just toured through the entire thing. It was super extensive because there's like 102,000 games on there, most of which are duplicates. But a lot of people were saying that, are you concerned that there's malware on here? And I actually scanned it and there was nothing on there. And that wasn't gifted to me or sent to me by the company or anything like that. I ordered it right from my Amazon account. So, as far as they're concerned, I'm everybody else and not an actual YouTuber. So no issues there, but that doesn't mean that, somebody else couldn't buy the exact same thing and their drive come in with malware on there. So you definitely have to. And I don't think that I was super clear on that in the video. So I want to make sure I do that more in the future. And I talk about scanning stuff because it is a legitimate concern. But a lot of people said, well, they've gotten it and they had malware on there. So I asked around, and it seems like a lot of the people that experienced the malware issues where the drive was compromised or, had malware on there, they got it from AliExpress, not Amazon. So I can't say that that's, strictly an AliExpress issue, but it seems like those are selling for a lot cheaper prices. So with something like that, or any game drive in general, anybody can get a game drive and pay $300 for it, for example. That's what that particular one costs on Amazon. Pay $300 for it, get it, open it up, copy it onto another drive, and now you can sell that. Let's say your drive that you copied it onto cost you like $100, $120. You still have a huge room in there to undercut the competition, right? You didn't do the work setting up the drive. All you did was copy it. You can copy it onto another drive, sell it for half the price. And if you wanted to be shady and put malware on there to steal people's information, you could. You're not the brand that's going to get, blamed for it publicly. So I think that with some of the cheaper options out there, that's more of a concern than if you're buying it on Amazon. But I, again, can't say that wholeheartedly because I don't know for a fact. At the end of the day, we're all at risk for something like that we're connecting over to our PC. So we have to scan it. That's the only way to know for sure. So just want to get that out of there because I know a lot of people were concerned about this and it's a legitimate concern. Sorry, just catching up on the comments here. Of course, I'm always behind, so. Yeah, exactly. And I think it just depends where you get it from, of course. But even on Amazon, I mean, one person can have malware, another person may not. It's just totally random and hit or miss. So at the end of the day, it's a concern, and we're seeing it's a concern even with mini PCs that are brand new in the packaging. So I guess we all have to just start scanning the hell out of everything. Let's see. Hey, the ads are what supports us here on YouTube, so it is what it is. Let's see. Yeah, it definitely was massive. Tons of games. Wrestling is one of my favorite types of games on there as well. The only thing with that one was it was massive and there was just so much to comb through and so many duplicates, and even like the collections, there were so many duplicates. Still great for, how many ROMs you get access to. Obviously, you can track down all those ROMs yourself, but that's a lot of legwork, and not everybody wants to do that, and I get that. So, yeah, I don't think that it was outrageously priced, but not as well polished as I would have liked, in all honesty. Obviously, you want to have like the most seamless, transition between collections and all that stuff without having duplicates everywhere you turn. So, um, you know, pros and cons, I suppose. All right, just catching up on these. I have not. I will have to do that. What controller did I use? Do I have it on me? I used the Mechanic controller. Actually, I can just pull it up for you guys because I reviewed it, I think, last week. I don't usually review many controllers because I like Easy SMX, honestly. It's one of my favorite brands, but let me see if I can search my video up here on YouTube. And oftentimes there's just not that many variations. Like if you have, obviously, one thing I always try to look for is Hall joysticks specifically, or analog sticks. There we go. So here is the link to my review video on the controller that I used with that. And I've just really enjoyed using that controller. I've been using that actually pretty much exclusively for like the last 2 weeks. It's just really on point. I can use it with everything because it's not Bluetooth. I use as a little receiver. So even stuff that I don't have Bluetooth on, because I do have some older stuff, I can use it on. So really like that one. What do you mean, like how to like set up something like that? That would be a pretty interesting video, I think. Yeah, I have to look into that. Um, but yeah, I believe so. I tested out PS3 emulation on there though, and it was a good experience. But I forget how I did. I jump into that through. I think I went through Batocera, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if I went through Windows on that one. On the one that I just did here, this review video, which I just filmed 2 days ago. Still have to finish editing it. I actually went to the PS3 emulation through Windows, which is not how I typically go about that, but um, found it to be comparable to going in through Batocera. I have heard that the PS3 emulator is working much better if you get like the most recent version of it, which my Batocera setup would not be the most recent version. So that could be the difference there. Um, if you experience something better than going through Batocera, which might be using an older version. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, I love that handheld. It's really affordable. Um, has great controls and everything. I think just everything about that is pretty on point, especially for the price point. I think it was like 75 bucks or so. Can't beat that. Very much hit or miss. It's getting better and better, but and like I just said, the update is making it much better as well, but still has a long way to go. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where it takes a lot of time. Same with Xbox 360's emulator. It's just not there yet. But most of these emulators have been around for a really long time, and those have been around for a while too, but not as long as a lot of the other stuff that's had the necessary time to really advance. Switch emulation is good, and that's come a long way. And I would say in like the last year, that has really improved a lot too. I try, I try. Um, just getting rid of this window here that I didn't realize was playing in the background. Luckily, I have it muted. Um, So what's everybody been playing this week? Anybody been playing any new games? I've been doing pretty much no gaming for the last week, just catching up on videos. And like I said before, it's been a lot of stuff that has been a little bit more time consuming than it typically is. So have not played much of anything at all. But I have been working on this mod back here, which was the NFL Blitz cabinet. It's not a new cabinet, but I painted the T molding on there, and I actually put graphics on the side. I did the bezel art there, new marquee across the top there. So definitely doesn't look like a Blitz cabinet anymore. I've not played Masters of the Universe for PS2. Okay, if it was released only in Europe, that could be why. But that sounds like something worth looking up for sure. What do you think is the best mini PC that would handle that 12 terabyte hard drive? You know what? I'm not sure that any mini PC will effectively handle everything on there because there's some really challenging stuff when you get into like the later PC releases. Same could be said for any of those high end game drives, not necessarily just that one from Kin Hank. Yeah, you probably need to go like a full scale gaming PC to handle everything, but your best bet probably the Sur 6 Max or the Sur 7. In all honesty, those are pretty expensive though. So I mean, you could argue that if you're going to spend, what's the Sur 7 like $750 or so, give or take. If you're going to spend that much, you might be able to get into a full on gaming PC for not much more. So depending on what you're trying to do, and if you aren't dealing with size restraints, then maybe you should go a full gaming PC route as opposed to mini PC. Certainly worth looking into. I have a full gaming PC that's actually mounted to the bottom of this desk right here, and there's no mini PC that's going to touch it. In all honesty, mini PCs, you're looking for something that is obviously a smaller scale. If you can get the maximum performance out of it, then that's awesome. But yeah, I don't think that they really rival true gaming PCs. They come close, and in some cases, you could argue that they may be comparable 100%, but depending on what you're looking to get into, gaming PCs may be your best bet. Definitely look into that. I'm gonna have to look into that as well. How is that? How is that game, Gordon? I haven't tried that out, but I'm definitely interested. Steam games, there's some really interesting stuff on there. Anytime I do, well, I won't say anytime. This last mini PC review that I did, I didn't jump into Steam, but I have been jumping into Steam in a lot of those lately, and I always get lost like exploring some of those more indie games on there, and there's some really interesting stuff that just really doesn't get a whole lot of attention. So you can get lost in Steam looking at stuff. Thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate that. I'm glad that everything has been helping you out. And I'm going to do a full video on this, transformation of this cabinet back here, which I think will be helpful for a lot of people as well. Have you tried out the open bore He-Man game? It's actually pretty sweet, and that's probably on your setup too. Just made me think of that as you mentioned He-Man. Very basic, not a whole lot going on to it, but it's fun if you like that old school, arcade sort of setup and feel. That side to side beat 'em up style game. It's definitely a good time there, and they have some really interesting stuff there for open bore. $500 will get you into some really solid options. I mean, B-Link is probably one of, if not my favorite brand for mini PCs. So there's definitely some solid options there that'll keep you right within that price range, or maybe even a little bit less, honestly, depending on what you're looking to get into. PS3 is really the one that will cost you a bit more. If you don't care about PS3, you can be well under that $500 budget. But if you want PS3, you're probably going to be like 550. Certainly you can go beyond that too. Oh, I think they're definitely good for everyday use. I mean, I have one that I use pretty extensively here, and then at my office, I have a medical office that I am part owner of, and we have all mini PCs in there. We don't have a single, full form PC. Um, both of which we have two, and then we have some laptops too, but laptops, tablets, all that stuff. But the main like office computers that we run everything on are B-Link mini PCs, and they are phenomenal. We don't have to for regular office usage. You don't have to have like the most attractive specs by any means. You don't have to have a Sur 6 or a Sur 7. You can, go with one of the, I think those the ones that we have in there. I forget which one it is, but I've reviewed them on the channel. And they are actually pretty good for emulation gaming too, but not top of the line by any means. I want to say they were like $350 each, so still relatively inexpensive, adequate, certainly adequate specs on there as well. So yeah, you can use them for stuff beyond emulation. Yeah, I got to check that out for sure. All right, so I'm dropping down to the current anytime. Oh, happy to answer any questions here. And you guys know Pepsi have to pay you money. I saw my buddy Jose today. He brought me this. So I've never had zero sugar Pepsi before. So he had a bunch in his truck. Give it the RGG review. It's good. I'm used to like Diet Pepsi. This is very good, but it doesn't have the I guess it doesn't have the sugar, right? No calories, no sugar. Not that it's good for you, but it's good. Yeah, I had that kind of off there. Yeah. Always have Pepsi products. I've always been more Pepsi than Coke. What's everybody think about that? Coke or Pepsi? And then I had some Woo Energy a couple weeks back too. I still have some more in the fridge. It's pretty good. It's different than like most energy drinks. I'm not a big energy drink guy. I like Red Bull, but I don't drink it much. But other than that, like I'm not into Monster or any of that stuff. But the Woo Energy, it's got like mushrooms in it, I guess. Um, Healthy mushrooms, I suppose. Yeah, I got to bring my virtual pinball machine down here. It's like full scale too. So problem is it's so heavy, but I'm gonna put it over here. It would line up like right below that painting there. So eventually that's gonna get down here once all the snow melts and it's not a hazard to get some people to help me bring it around the side. I'm finding prices bounce all over the place. What do you think of GMK Tech? Specs look good for the money. GMK Tech is good. I've reviewed one or two of their products. So if you do a GMK Tech retro gaming guy search here on YouTube, you should find it. But yeah, the ones that I've tested out were good. Just look at the specs and you can probably gauge what you're going to be able to get into. The ones that I tested, I don't think they were super high quality. Or not high quality is the wrong word. They weren't like the top of the line where you're going to get into like PS3 and stuff like that, but they were still very good. So if you can get them for a good price, then yeah, 100% they are definitely great options for emulation. Good info. Price point there. I think you're going to spend a little bit more than 125 though. I could be wrong. You might find options around that price, but usually what I've experienced, I mean, that's obviously an older PC. It's not like a mini PC of today where they're going to, be able to get as much as they possibly can for it. Usually, in the mid 500s, but yeah, that certainly could be an option there. Good on you for giving up soda. I've tried, and that's one of the few things I haven't been able to to get away from. I try to limit it, but even that is not always a success for me. That and candy. I have a sweet tooth, so I try to limit the candy, but I go through phases where I'm good and then phases where I'm just an absolute mess. Water's always the best way, for sure. Sugar fills my sad spots, I always say. I like Dr. Pepper too. I drink Diet Dr. Pepper usually. Try to stick with diet. Not that it's healthy by any means, but yeah, I'm slowly piecing everything together. But I got so much stuff. I got all the parts for the T2 over here that I got to work on too. So it's kind of a mess in here right now. But I got to get organized because I hate coming down here to tiptoe around all the different things. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, for sure. Never got really into Monster. It's not bad, but never was a huge fan of it. Always more so Red Bull. Anytime, Jim. Anytime. We have that smaller number of people here because there's no giveaways, and I didn't, really hype this up this week. So it does make it easier to, interact with everybody and get those questions answered. Yeah, they have like the imported ones actually in the grocery stores out here. I know they're not in every grocery store, but you can get like the different, at least the Mexican like Coke and Sprite and stuff like that. So I haven't. I think I've tried them, but not in a while now. That would be cool with the 3D screen for sure, especially the modern FX tables and stuff like that. I I don't think so. So I used it with that controller that I mentioned before, the Mac and Ike one, and I didn't have lag. The only lag I had was with the provided ones, which is just so dumb to me that you would, bundle your game console as the person selling it. You would bundle a game console with a controller that makes everything shitty. So just terrible choice there for them. But yeah, I tried it with that, and I tried it with my Easy SMX PC controllers, both of which were, great experience there. So in the video, though, it's just the Mac and Ike one that I'm using. But yeah, everything that I've tried beyond just the provided controller was great with the Time Machine console. Yeah, I'm not quite that bad, but yeah, at my worst, I probably wasn't far off. So I don't drink soda during the day. I'll usually have like one or two at night, and that's about it. So, well, it pretty much is. I agree with that for sure. But yeah, hey, you gotta live life too. I want to be miserable and healthy, so you gotta just balance it out, I think. How to download Windbreaker for Botacera? You can go to Google and find a bunch of options there, but let's see, Windbreaker. I don't remember where. That's been so long. Or you can get just about every game drive these days has that. And you're looking for which version are you looking for? Check out Vim's Lair. I like them. Unless you're looking for, I don't think they have like Switch and stuff like that, but they'll have GameCube if that's what you're looking for. Yeah, I'm the same way, but I also grew up having the diet, so that's probably a big factor in that. Are you looking for the GameCube version? Because then you'd be good with. Vim's Lair. They're always really reliable. I mean, I haven't used them in a long time now, but um, 12 terabyte on the Kinhank one. Switch didn't work. Shit, I don't have that on me right now, but I'm not sure. Can you go into that uses Hyperspin? Hyperspin's a pain in the ass to go into the emulators and make adjustments. If it was Batacera, I would tell you that you can go in and update the emulator in there, but I'm really personally not familiar with Hyperspin very much. You could look into that, look up Hyperspin tutorials on YouTube. There may be some information on that. I've just never dealt with Hyperspin myself with like building setups on there. So I've only used it, in pre-configured setups like that. I've always been a Batacera guy. Batacera, I could tell you how to do just about everything on, but I'm not as familiar with stuff that, I haven't built stuff on. So unfortunately, I'm not much help in that regard. So you have to download to a separate PC. You can bring the files over through, Wi-Fi connection if you were to, um, have two different PCs on the same network. You could do it that way, or you can just bring it over to a flash drive or micro SD card, connect that a over to your PC with Batacera on it, and add it into the file system. What collection are you looking to add games to? Because I can try to give you a tutorial video link that would, kind of obviously be much easier than following what I'm telling you here. For me, I'm a visual learner, so I need like that tutorial in front of me that I can follow along with. People could explain stuff to me until they're blue in the face, and it's not going to get absorbed by me. It's just how I learn. So, tell me what collection you're looking to set up, and I'll see if I have a tutorial video that might help you out and show you exactly what I'm trying to verbally explain to you. So I am dropping down to the bottom of these comments here. So if you ask me any questions, ask it again. Yeah, so I think it's always better to make your own because you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. So if you're buying drives, and I have no issue with people buying drives, and I know that's a sensitive topic for some people. Hey, Alfred, how you doing? Just saw that pop up. But yeah, not everybody wants to tweak things or fiddle with setting up their own thing. I've actually put together my 4 terabyte setup. It took me about 8 months to do that. The nice thing is, I have every game that I want to play on there, and I don't have to add games that, might just look cool or games that I have no interest in seeing, much less playing. I don't have to have those, on my list that I have to scroll through. So I literally just add what I want on there and don't have to deal with, somebody else's vision or seeing whatever somebody else thought was going to be a fun game to add in. So, it's a trade off, but it does take a lot of time. And you definitely get frustrated because it's not always going to be an easy process. So, it's a trade off, but I think that setting up your own is always the best option. And you can actually go in and grab, a pre configured game drive and you can tweak it yourself. So you don't have to stick with just what comes to you comes available on there by default. You can go in and remove games, add games. You can customize stuff. Some setups are easier to customize than others, but you don't have to live with what you get if you're comfortable with learning about, whatever platform your game drive is built on. So that's my take on all of that. You can I don't know if you're responding to somebody else's comment above. I didn't see it, but you should be able to add games on there. I'm not sure, in all honesty, with that one, because that's Hyperspin, and I'm not used to Hyperspin myself. But I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy though. So for me, I'm used to Batacera. If you get a Batacera drive that's already been pre-configured, you can access everything the same as if you set it up yourself. So it's very easy and straightforward in that regard. But yeah, not every platform out there is going to be that user friendly or straightforward. Mario Kart 8 for Wii U or for Switch? I think both of them are probably too new to be on most of the websites, so that one's going to be a challenge to find the ROMs. Yeah, it gets dicey with those where YouTubers usually don't want to give links out to that stuff because obviously the companies get pissed off, and it's just something you have to worry about as a YouTuber that's out here as a easy target. But Google probably should help you with that. And I'll tell you, look at archive.org. Archive is really good at, having stuff like that. But you might have to be creative with like how you search for it. So I'll give you that tip at least, but I can't give you a link or anything like that. Agreed. Yeah, I certainly understand that. And it's the more that you add and the later stuff that you add, definitely more frustrating. So yeah, you're a collector of ROMs. There's nothing wrong with that. You like to have everything there, and even if you're not playing it, it's still there. It's waiting for you if you decide to. I get that. Definitely do. And there's two thought processes. There's the person that wants access to everything, even if they're not going to dive into it, and then there's people that just want what they're going to actually use. So, to each their own. That'll be a fun process. Just remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint, because it's definitely time consuming. And if you want to just, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I've built a lot of setups, and you want to just like get to the finish line a lot of the times, but you have to just enjoy the process and know that it's going to take a long time. Otherwise, you'll definitely drive yourself a little mad. So just take your time and have fun with it. It's not going to be perfect right out of the gate, but work at it, and you'll certainly have something to show for in the end. Nice. Yeah. Little by little, you get there. Lots of great games. And the fun thing about emulation is you can kind of rediscover stuff. And that's how Nintendo Wii was for me. I didn't play a lot of Nintendo Wii when it first came out. I played Wii Sports because that came with the console. And I don't think I ever bought another game, in all honesty. Well, that's not true. I think I bought that, and I bought a couple games when I first bought the console, but I never went out again and bought it because I just wasn't active with it at that point in my life. So when I got into emulation and I experienced how good Wii emulation was and how it was very much true to the experience of using the original console, I started discovering games for the first time, like, what, like 15, 16 years later. So that was really fun for me to go back and find like all the light gun games that were made for Wii that I never experienced. So Retro Beast is definitely a legit drive. All of his, I mean, Chris Coolmod made some really amazing setups there. So they're not truly plug and play in that you can just plug them in and dive right into your games. You do have to download a lot of drivers and stuff like that. His later stuff has been a little bit easier to set up. So don't I'm not trying to, tell you that it's a bad setup because it's not, but it's not truly plug and play in that you just plug it in and dive straight in. You do have to download a few things and follow his, instructions to get it up and running, but I'd say about 30 minutes you're able to start diving into games and having a really good experience. Worst case scenario, 30 minutes. That sounds pretty interesting. I'll have to look for that. Do you have a link by any chance? If not, no worries. I'm sure I can find it. Yeah, I believe that's what it's called, if I'm not mistaken. Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a good. Do you have the link for it? I'll take a look at it for you if you'd like. But I mean, 99 bucks is a pretty sweet price point there. And N100 is a good processor. Just as long as you're not trying to get into like PS3 or anything like that, it's going to be, it's going to fall short on that. But For your, mid-range emulation, that's definitely a great option. But yeah, if you have the link, I'll take a look at it for you. Yeah, so when I reviewed his drive, it was 96 terabytes, and I know he extended it and added a lot more stuff. So I haven't tried out the 110 version of it, but the previous version was pretty sweet. Massive though, not something you're going to travel with because you get that whole enclosure, setup, and it's got weight to it. I mean, you could work out with that thing. I don't think that there's not like budget friendly. You're talking about I don't know why in my head I read portable. I thought you were asking about handhelds. And there's not any handhelds that I know of that can play GameCube, not like affordable ones anyways. Steam Deck and, those caliber ones, yeah. So gaming devices, I assume you're talking about like plug and play consoles. I have the one coming to me. I think it gets delivered tomorrow that uses a mini PC as the console. I would imagine that can play GameCube. I think the price point of that, I linked to it earlier in the live chat here, but I think it's like 260 bucks or so. Plug and play though, so that may be an option for you. So definitely check back with me in like, I don't know, by like Tuesday, I'll probably have that video out here on the channel because I'm really excited to see what that offers because I'm surprised in all honesty that no, none of those plug and play setups have, become available yet. Take it easy, man. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Um, and for the conversation, man. Awesome. Really appreciate it. All right, let me dive in here. I have not. Hey, that reminds me though. Has anybody checked out the Halo season 2 yet on Paramount Plus? Because I think I got to go back and watch the first season now, but that kind of crept up on me. I was watching Tulsa King, and then next thing I knew, they were hyping up the new season of Halo. Didn't even realize that it was ready to be released. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support. We will see you next time. That was my reaction as I read that. I hope that you mean not dial up because that's going back a little bit there. But that was literally what I read that and I was thinking the same reaction. It's fun to go through, um, even like on the 12 terabyte drive that I toured through extensively the other day. It's fun to just kind of go down memory lane and to watch the video previews and see the box art, even if maybe there's a title that I'm not going to jump into, but it's fun to kind of relive having played that in the past. So I can relate to that. Sometimes just going through the menus is nostalgia enough without even having to dive into the game. Like Pac-Man, I've played thousands of times. It's cool to just see it pop up. I'm probably not going to jump into Pac-Man anytime soon. I have no desire to. It's fun once in a while, I will say that, but it's just not something that I'm going to go into. But it's cool to see because it does bring back memories. There was a diner that I actually went to this morning. I live in the same town that I grew up in. I now live in the same town that I grew up in. I haven't been here nonstop, but there's a diner that used to have Pac-Man out there in like the waiting area. So just seeing that pop up on like my menus and stuff in Botticera or whatever build I'm in, just brings back those memories of waiting to be seated and playing that game. And again, that's enough nostalgia right there. That would be pretty cool. I would be all into that, and that would kind of kick up the experience too for some of those games that like Pac-Man. You've played it a million times, but you haven't played it in that exact way. You know what I mean? So that would be a cool twist on things for sure. Definitely agree with you there, Brian. Love the light guns, and we've seen a lot of light gun stuff lately, and I feel like I've covered a lot of light gun stuff lately here on the channel too. What is the best console emulator? Any recommendations? Um, so like it just depends what you're into, I suppose. Like for N64, I love that one that I always blank on the first part of the name, but the one that ends in rice. You get some amazing graphics out of that. And N64 graphics weren't great for the most part, but that smooths everything out and just makes everything vibrant. Like if you play NFL Blitz on a regular emulator, and then you play it on the one that ends in rice, because I'm again blanking on the name there, but you'll see a major difference in graphics. So that's a really good one. I love playing in that particular one, and I'm gonna look up the full name because that's gonna bother me now. I always do this too. N64. What is the emulator that I'm thinking of? And somebody's probably already responded with the full name, right? While I'm over here Googling. So I always used it within Batocera because the nice thing about Batocera is everything is already put into place for you, so you don't have to manually add the emulators in. But if you're using something like Launchbox, for example, then you do have to put those in manually, which isn't a big deal by any means. But here we go. This guy right here. So let me just copy that. Yeah, check out this one right here. This is the full name of the emulator that I'm thinking of. And you should be able to do a Google search and you could probably find all the information on that. Yes, it is. It is. And it's nice you can customize it and do a lot with it. But I find that for people just getting into emulation, it's pretty straightforward. Not so much like the folders, a file system, that can be a lot to take on, but as you kind of ease into it, it's easy to navigate, and I think you can learn a lot from it pretty quickly. So definitely can relate to that for sure. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate that. And for everybody here, because I'm not going to get a chance to, bid farewell to everybody. But thank you guys for showing up this week. I know I didn't prep for this and I didn't do any sort of promotion to get people here this week. So, thank you guys so much for joining and for partaking in this. I think this is going to be a little bit shorter than what we typically do without the giveaways, but still a good vibe in here. And it's nice to have that more intimate sort of crowd tonight. So I definitely appreciate you guys for showing up. So um, for sure, and you especially. There's a lot of you guys that are here every week, and again, really appreciate the continued support. You're on every video. I mean, it definitely doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you guys so much, and that's a big part of why I like to do the giveaways and stuff. Is a thank you to everybody for always tuning in. I just saw this. For some reason, every now and then, my YouTube will like log me out. So then I'll come into YouTube and it'll be like these random videos that are not like, my typical feed. And Mr. Beast has a video from 6 days ago that has a great thumbnail with a cobra wrapped around his neck. Definitely caught me off guard as I switched windows here. Anybody watch Mr. Beast? Because I'm really don't watch any of his content in all honesty. I do like him, but just never really got into his content. But guy's a genius for sure. I saw him speak in Dallas a couple months ago. Definitely knows his stuff with when it comes to YouTube and the algorithm and all the stuff on the back end there. But never actually sit down and watch much of his content. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Paris, nice. That's one I don't get a lot of people from France. Get a lot of Australia, Germany, UK for sure. Always a lot of people in the UK. Ireland's been a big one, but not many people from France. So appreciate that. Always good to see. Not many people from Italy. Yeah. interesting to see because on the back end of YouTube, anybody that has a channel, you have the studio, and then you can go in and see like all your demographics and where everybody's viewing from and stuff. So it's interesting to see like the breakdown. And there's a big population in Australia that watches the channel, which is really cool to see. In fact, I think it was like 27% or something, which is a really high percentage of viewers are from Australia. And I think a lot of the giveaway winners have been from Australia as well. I've shipped a lot of stuff to Australia. Love Beast. Mr. Beast reminds me of Nick Avocado. No. Um, no, Nick Avocado. I'm going to have to look that up. Oh, that guy. It's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. I don't get that vibe from Mr. Beast, but there's some scary stuff when you look up Nick Avocado. Awesome. Well, I'm super grateful to have you. Thank you so much, Orlando. I really appreciate that. It's great to be here. It really is. Hello from Texas. Nice. I was just in Texas. I was just mentioning that. I was in Dallas, October, early October, I think. And that was actually my first time in Texas. So flew into Dallas and I was there for like a little less than a week, maybe like 4 or 5 days. It's a good time. I actually liked it a lot. Yeah, now you guys tell me. It's not terrible. I think it depends on where and obviously how big the package is, what the weight is and all that stuff. But like, yeah, it's $22 or so for something, of a decent size. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. In different parts of the country, or not the country, different parts of the world, sometimes you can get a better deal with DHL, which I've always had a good experience with. Not everybody has, but the only thing that's a problem where I'm in Connecticut, is there's no locations where you can like drop it off. So I actually drop it off at UPS, and UPS schedules a pickup with DHL. So it can be a pain to, schedule drop off and pickup. You can actually schedule it for them to come to you, but not everybody has them readily available. So it might be like a couple days before they can get you, on the schedule. They're quick though. They're not super cheap, but they're comparable to everybody else, but they're quick. Like I can ship something to Ireland or UK and it be there in like 3 days for, like $35 or so. So it's a good option. Whereas US Postal Service will ship something to the same place for maybe 18, $19, but it's going to take like 3 to 6 weeks. And I would much rather ship something for, $10 more and have it get to somebody in 3 days, where it's not, kicking around an airplane or a warehouse or a truck or whatever for an extended period of time. Nice. Hyperspin has some awesome themes. So if you make stuff, let me know what you're making and stuff. Definitely be interested in seeing that. Very nice. I was reading a different comment. Clicked on the wrong one there, but yeah, we got a lot of snow here. They were kind of going back and forth on how much it was going to be, and it ended up being, the higher end of what they were kind of anticipating. So luckily, it's melting now, so it's not as bad. But we were supposed to get snow again, and that seemed to not pan out. It snowed like very briefly last night, but nothing really accumulated. I'm going to buy a retro shooter for the light guns, and I'm going to get the Sur 7 Max and use it on my 12 terabyte. Kin Hank, what's a good monitor you would suggest for me to get? Honestly, you can get whatever you want for the most part. You're not going to, there's no real, I mean, nothing I can off the top of my head think of. I actually like curved monitors, but I wouldn't get that for light guns. I just find that they're a little bit funny with the curve. Um, so with those, you're going to have the sensors on there as well. So yeah, I would just stay away from like curved ones because the back obviously is curved and it's harder to get those mounts on there. That's really the only thing that I would be at all concerned with. Um, you know, go with a gaming monitor if you can, as opposed to a regular one. But yeah, I don't have any off the top of my head to recommend. Um, the Kinhang 12 terabyte has them, but I wouldn't recommend it for Xbox. Xbox emulation's not 100% on point. I do want to warn you about that. But I'm trying to think. I think for that reason, they're not usually on a lot of those plug and play drives. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, and that's kind of what happens when you've reviewed so many things sometimes. But if I think of anything, I will let you know. Um, yeah, Xbox original. I assume you're talking about original Xbox games. They're usually not on a lot of those game drives because emulation for them can be a little bit wonky at times. Some games work great, like the Halo games, great experience. But some of the other stuff that you wouldn't think is going to be really demanding just kind of falls flat. It's just hit or miss with that emulator. Yeah, if I think of anything, I'll try to hit you back on that one. Um, Wii U can be tough, and it should handle, I think, the majority of games on a Surf 5 Max. But yeah, Wii U can be a little bit tough sometimes. Wii U with some titles just doesn't really pan out, so that might be one of them. I don't know if I've tested with that one though, to be honest. So not sure, but I know I've tested out a handful of games with that particular with the Surf 5 Max and had a good experience. Is that the only game that you're having that issue with within that collection? Bruce, what were you asking? I don't know if you commented prior to this one. I know you commented prior, but I don't see one like directly before this, so I'm not really sure what we're referencing there. Let me know. So PS5 you can't emulate. A lot of times when you see PS5 in setups, it's actually just the PC version of those titles. So it's a little bit deceiving in that regard. Are you in Australia? I saw that they're Perth. Is that right? I'm going to definitely watch that. I've actually not watched WWE in a long time. I watched like bits and pieces, and of course we're on now, and SmackDown's on. But I'd love to actually get into WWE again and just kind of keep up with it because it's been a good few years, since I've really paid close attention. I'm a big fan of Cody. I watched Cody when he was going back into like the Indies and stuff. I was at all the matches that he did with Kurt Angle. So definitely a wrestling fan, but just kind of fell off with WWE. Wasn't I don't know, it's had like a weird time where it just wasn't really appealing to me. But it seems to be much better now. I watched the Royal Rumble, really enjoyed that. Lots of talent, but sometimes it just doesn't like suck you in the way that it used to. Just reading. There we go. Just reading that comment there. That is a good one. I could do that. That would be a good video. I've never done that before, so that would be good. I'm trying to actually get back into some of that stuff, and I'm going to do one with a lot of people have hit me up asking about the G2 and G3 from Elite Desk, which I did videos on how to do setups on there. But now I guess they're providing M2 SSDs, which is kind of throwing people off because in the past they've always used the 2.5-inch SSDs. So when somebody opens it up and they see my video on the older, setup with the 2.5-inch SSD, they're kind of baffled by what they have in front of them with the M2s. So I'm going to go back in and do a video on that because those videos also did very well. They seem to help a lot of people out. So as I'm doing that, that would be certainly a good option and approach to take to another video. So do appreciate that recommendation. I'm going to make note of that. Um, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, USPS can be. I feel like it's gotten a lot better. Like during 2020 and 2021, it was a disaster. Like I remember sending something to Pennsylvania, and I'm in Connecticut, so that's usually like a 2 day for like first class. It's not far at all. And I remember stuff taking like 6 weeks in some cases. And I know that was, the whole COVID thing and all that, but yeah, it's gotten better at least, but still not great. That is a good point there. You don't need to go super high end with, all the 4K and all that stuff, especially for retro, obviously. So that is a good, I should have thought of that. That's a good point to make there. Thank you for that one, Broke Daddy Gamer. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I grew up playing, well, my teenage years I played Xbox, original Xbox, and love a lot of the titles there. But a lot of my favorite titles, especially like racing games, they don't emulate well at all. So it's a letdown. So I try to avoid that one in all honesty. And I've actually played a lot of original Xbox just on the original console, but the original consoles are tough to kind of preserve as well. So tough with original Xbox across the board. Yeah, Halo is pretty good. Halo 2, not as good, but it's like that first wave of Xbox games I find to emulate pretty well. But a lot of the other stuff, definitely the later releases, just don't pan out. And it's unfortunate. I think somebody asked that earlier, and I'm not sure in all honesty because that uses hyperspin, and I'm just not well acquainted with that platform really. I'm most used to um, Batocera. And with that one, you can actually go in and update the emulator. And I believe Hyperspin, it's very hard to do that stuff. And that's just what I hear. I don't have the, hands-on experience with that one to really help you out, unfortunately. So I do apologize for that. Look up on YouTube how to update um, Yuzu, which is the Switch emulator on Hyperspin, though, and you might find some like tutorial videos on that. So that would be my recommendation, but unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to tell you firsthand. Launchbox is good. For me, I'm about a Sarah guy, and I find that it works well for. You're talking about MAME, I assume, classic arcade stuff. It works really well for that stuff. You have different emulators to choose from as well, which is nice. So I've always gravitated towards that, but to each their own. Everybody's going to have a different opinion on that stuff. RetroBat's good too if you like using Windows because Batocera is going to be Linux, so you're going to adjust your boot order, boot into that, separate from Windows on your PC. So just different, ways to access everything. Tempted to get the Time Machine plug and play. The game selection looks great. The interface looks awesome. Your review of it was great. Really like that. I mean, for those that want a plug and play setup, that's a pretty awesome one. The only downside is, of course, the provided controller is not great. So you have to, bring in your own PC controller. But I mean, you can get a really good one for like 25, $30 on the low end. And then top of the line, I mean, 55, 50, 50 50, 55, $60 will get you into a really high end one with Hall triggers and analog sticks or joysticks. So, not, by any means a deal breaker to bring your own controller into the mix. And I think that's what most of us do with plug and play setups, anyways. You're used to getting those like really budget friendly options provided for you. So, yeah, I think most people do end up upgrading that stuff, anyways. So, just notice my mouse is dying here. All right, so how long do your game reviews usually take before editing? You do great reviews, by the way. Really good about keeping the audience engaged. Thanks for the devotion. Um, yeah, well, thank you for noticing and thank you for the kind words. Everything's a little bit different, but like game, So like a mini PC review, for example, typically I'm going to spend on their start to finish probably like 2 hours. Those are pretty extensive. And then the game reviews, like when I actually dive into the demos, they're really quick in the video. Like I usually will do like 30-second clips from each of the games that I jump into, but um, I dive into them pretty extensively. I mean, it takes me probably about an hour of like gameplay total to get that footage, which will end up being like 5 minutes, if that. Usually like 2.5, 3 minutes of the video. But it also depends on like what I dive into. Like if I dive into NFL Blitz, and I usually do because I love that game, and I usually jump into it for GameCube because GameCube is a little bit more demanding than N64, so it's a way to test out the mini PC a little bit more. And if I'm just bombing in that game, I end up playing like two matches and getting lost in it. So it can take a long time. And then like those are usually my most extensive reviews or videos that take the most time. The Kinhank one took a really long time though, because that's an hour and 20 minutes long, and that's the edited version of it. So for me to film it, it took much more than just that amount of time. And then editing it was a long time, even though there weren't many cuts in that, honestly. It still is a lot of time that I have to watch it over and over again to make sure that I don't have mistakes and stuff. So the editing process can be long and tedious because I don't like watching myself. I don't mind being on camera and stuff like that, but I don't like listening to myself, honestly. So I respect you guys for tuning into the channel and listening to me as much as you guys do, because I don't think I could do it. But I think that's everybody's take on themselves, unless like you're one of those people that just loves hearing yourself talk, and I'm not one of those people. Just catching up on these comments here, sorry. Good information there. Certainly worth a try. Yeah, so I don't even know how to access any of that stuff on Hyperspin. I'll have to get acquainted with that. Definitely. There's actually a contact page on my website. Send me some information. I'd love to check that out. And thank you for the kind words and support, of course. Yeah, I have a lot of tutorial videos. What are you using? Like I use Botacera mostly, so most of my stuff is Botacera related. But whatever you're using should have a like wiki or something, that gives you instructions. And usually they're outlined pretty well, but for PS1, you may just have the issue of like when you're dropping your ROMs into folders, you may have the wrong format, or you may be some you have to extract the files, some you have to just leave them as is. So it may be something simple like that. You're just doing something wrong with the files themselves. So it's probably not a really tough fix, in all honesty. You could also have you could be missing BIOS files too as well. Those are something that a lot of people overlook. So the older stuff doesn't necessarily require BIOS files. Some do, some don't. So it could be something like that. But let me know what platform you're using, how you're editing, how you're, diving into emulation. I'll try to give you some information specific to that. So that's, I always try to mention this in my videos, and sometimes I think people don't pick up on it, but a lot of the game drives out there that advertise PS4 and PS5, it's not true PS4 and PS5 games. So, like in my thumbnail, I'll use like the logos to, include those into it. And the only reason I do that is because that's that's how it's set up internally on those drives. But it's not true PS4 and PS5 titles. It's those titles, but it's the PC versions, because there is no emulation for PS4. I believe they are actually working on that, but certainly nothing for PS5 because it is a current console and relatively new. So you do get access to those games, but it's the PC version. So in the end, you are able to play those games, but it's not the true PlayStation experience. So yeah, that's always one of those things that honestly I'm not a fan of, the way that they do that, because you could just list it as a PC version of those games. And does anybody really care in the end if they're still able to access the game? I think it's still a win. But when you kind of mislead people and you call it PS4 emulation or PS5 emulation, and it's not truly that, that's when people start to get a little bit pissed off with it. And it creates misinformation. So I do always mention that in my review videos where I'm touring through stuff. I think that I may not have mentioned that though in the first one, which was Chris Coolmod's Retro Beast one. I think that's the first time I encountered those included in there. What do you use as an editor for videos? So I edit everything myself, but I use WeVideo, and that's cloud based, which is what I actually really like about that because I don't have to fill my hard drive with video files. What I'll do is I'll film on micro SD cards, so I'll have tons of these all over the place, and I'll just insert this into my computer. Everything stays on here. I upload it to WeVideo from this. And then it's all cloud storage, so it doesn't clutter up my hard drives on my computers, and I can access it from anywhere. So I can go, if I'm traveling, I can bring my laptop or a smaller mini PC with me, and I can access everything through Wi-Fi and edit on the go. I don't have to have, all that storage space with me at all times. So it works for, my lifestyle, and I'm using different PCs all the time in different places all the time as well. So yeah, big fan of WeVideo for that. And they have a lot of great features on there as well. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I've heard that I do get that a lot. So I think that's a good thing. Um, Hopefully I don't bore people to tears, but that's my effect on myself sometimes. Especially with that video, I was telling people the other day when I edited the Kin Hank tour video, it was honestly the hardest video for me to edit, and it makes no sense that that's the case because it had very few cuts. Like I pretty much just went through that tour video and just filmed it and talked as I went collection by collection. But to edit it back and just watch that video, for me it was brutal. Like I had to just do like 20 minutes at a time, and even getting through 20 minutes was tough. So I appreciate when people are supportive and say nice things because that was a lot for me to even take on. Oh yeah. So it was just about the live streams really. So I'm still going to do like the giveaways. Today is obviously a dry night with giveaways, but I'm still going to do giveaways, but I'm going to bring people on the channel more. So I brought Heck and Steve on 2 weeks ago. I had a blast doing that. Now Heck and Steve's a buddy of mine, so it's fun, especially fun when, I have a good relationship with the people. But I'm going to be bringing on some guests here at least half of the time. So not every single week, but I'm going to try to bring people on a regular basis. Other YouTubers, other people in general, even some people that are just viewers here. If there's anybody that wants to come on for, a portion of, a Friday night live stream, I'm all for it. So just going to try to find like more ways to make this interactive and fun for everyone. So one person that I am going to be bringing on, and I've talked to, is Retro Ralph. So Retro Ralph has a YouTube channel, very similar content to mine, and we were actually talking about that the other day. How we've actually never spoken prior to this conversation, and I feel like we have a big crossover with our audiences because we do cover very similar content, and I've been watching him for I think like 2 years now. So, and he is a subscriber of my channel as well. So I think that'll be a really cool, guest to have on and to just kind of shoot the shit and have an open conversation. So I'm not like competitive at all in YouTube or any of this stuff. I'm happy to talk to anybody and be friendly with anybody. Like there's no, ill will towards any other content creators out there. I know some people are really weird with, not wanting to work with other people in their genre of, content or whatever. I'm not that way at all. Like I want to work with everybody. I'm nice and happy with everybody. There's no animosity or anything like that. So anybody that I can help get bigger on YouTube too, if they're smaller channels, then I'm all for that as well. I talk to a lot of people that are looking for advice and stuff because I came into this with no idea what to expect here. So if I can help anybody else out too, I'm happy to do that. So yeah, it'll be fun to kind of go down that lane a little bit and explore new things. So yeah, that's my update for Friday night live streams. But I'm still going to interact with you guys here in the live chat. And when we had Hack and Steve on, both of us kind of went to the live chat and talked with everybody a little bit too. So it was fun. And I love that people are like so willing to help each other out here in the live chat too. It's always a good vibe in here. So I appreciate that, guys. Not everybody has that vibe in their live chats. I've seen a lot of, you know, negativity and stuff like that. So yeah, Orlando, that's what I was thinking too. It'll be fun to have, somebody that is, into the same stuff as me. And he does a lot of arcade stuff. And that's what I love most about um, emulation and retro gaming. That's what I dive into the most is arcade games. So we have a lot in common. And he's actually from not far away from where I am. He's from Rhode Island originally. I'm from Connecticut. So we have that East Coast connection too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You can externally connect pretty much any drive to a mini PC. They're not going to connect inside because that's a larger size drive, but through USB connection, you can certainly do that. Yeah, there's a lot of forums that are good for helping, and Reddit's always good too for a lot of stuff. And then of course YouTube, great to have that visual aid as well. Issues with my mouse here. There we go. Just reading this comment here. Sorry. A couple mini PCs I would like you to comment on at some point. I need to line them up and send links next time, possibly. Yeah, absolutely, Jim. I'm here every Friday, so definitely next week, if you can just, make a list like you said, then I'll definitely check those out for you, give you my thoughts on them. And not everything is easy just based off of the specs, but usually you can gauge everything pretty well. Just highlighting that one for you. Make sure he sees it. Let's see. So, I don't typically have anything bad to say about people, but I believe he gave me a hard time on a couple videos. So I don't plan on bringing him in. And I'm open to criticism from anybody. I don't take things personally. And usually, anytime something does bother me that people say, it's because it's true. So, like, if somebody calls me on a mistake that I make, it'll piss me off because I know they're right and I'll correct that. So, I don't have an issue with that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that guy. Yeah. And I think that he obviously watches some of the videos, but yeah, I forget what it was about. I think it was about like just something new that had come out that I didn't know much about, and he knew about it. So I think I actually asked him on his video, and he was just kind of an asshole in his response. And then eventually, I saw him pop up in my comments, just kind of shit talking and stuff. So I was like, not a great vibe there. But that's how some people are. It is what it is. But yeah, he wasn't on my list of people to contact, which glad we're in agreement there. Very first video game that you played. Gosh. You know what? Cruisin' USA was the first arcade game that I remember playing. So I think that um, Retro was it Retro Lizard? Just said Lizard. I think it's like Retro Lizard or something like that. Um, no, I don't have. It is what it is. Not, it wasn't a big deal or anything, but he had mentioned that he wasn't a fan, and don't bring him on the show. So I was just saying I don't plan to because I had a encounter with him and it wasn't great. But yeah, so first game that I remember playing was Cruisin' USA, and that was like the first racing game. And yeah, big fan of the Cruisin' franchise. So that's the first one that I remember. And I might have played like Pac-Man or something like that in passing prior to that, but yeah, Cruising USA is like my first memory of a game that I really dove into as a kid. And I think that came out. I think I was playing it when I was like 5 or 6. I mean, just all over the road, barely able to hit the pedals and steer. But definitely vivid memories of playing that. And I recently met somebody that works for Raw Thrills when I was in Vegas at CES, and so she works for Raw Thrills, and the guy that created Cruisin' USA created Raw Thrills, and he's still the active CEO or COO, whatever it is, of the company. So it was interesting to have that connection, talking to her, who works directly under this guy that created the first video game that I had ever played, and still is involved with that franchise because Cruisin' Blast came out for um, Switch, and they also have like the arcade cabinets and stuff, still in like Dave and Buster's and movie theaters and stuff like that. So just cool to have that like connection to somebody that works directly for that person. So all right, let's dive back into this, and I'm gonna wrap this up in a couple minutes here. But Tron in the arcade, then Pac-Man. That is Tron. I actually recently played when I was in Vegas. Um, what a challenging game that can be. Yes, yeah, he does. And he's got pretty decent content too. I won't knock the content, but yeah, it seems like I wasn't the only one that thought he was kind of a dick at times. Um, but yeah, I mean, good content from what I've seen. Well, I'm not trying to persuade anybody not to give the guy business. I mean, he seems to have decent stuff, but yeah, I mean, if the customer service isn't great or he's kind of a jerk to people, then that certainly isn't good. Yeah, check out arcades are fun. Vito's been telling me a lot about them, and I've seen his setup, and it's really amazing. So, best way to check it out is to check out Light Sun Gaming because he's got that in a lot of his content there. So, definitely take a look at his cabinet and gauge if that's maybe a possible option for you. Yeah, I love the cruising games, and they got better and better. I think that USA is definitely one of my favorites, but then Cruising World was awesome too. When you beat that, you have that really cool cutscene at the end with Bill Clinton and like the jacuzzi chasing after Hillary Clinton, like this interesting stuff that Midway always just kind of like pushed the envelope with. So, and then they had Exotica after that, and then I think they had one for the Wii, which I don't remember playing much, but then Blast was pretty good too. Blast was like a throwback to that, style. Area 51, another one. And so when I used to play at the arcade, it was Cruisin' USA, and they eventually replaced it with Cruisin' two. Actually, they had one Cruisin' USA, then they got rid of that and they put in two Cruisin' Worlds. Then it was Adam's Family Pinball. Next to that was Area 51 and Maximum Force, the dual cabinet. Next to that was my favorite game of all time, Gauntlet Legends. And then left side of that was 2-on-2 Open Ice Challenge, which is like the NBA Jam version, but for hockey, or the hockey version of NBA Jam. Better way to say that. So it's interesting. I don't remember what I had for lunch, but I remember the lineup of these games that I used to go down the line and play 25, yeah, over 25 years ago. Well, you didn't miss much. I didn't give away anything tonight. Tonight was like I've been just behind this week, so anything that I give away as a review is something that I've reviewed. So I have this mini PC, but I just finished reviewing it and filming everything yesterday. So I'm editing that. So I was just too tight on time this week to get everything finalized and done and organized. So we didn't do any giveaways this week. It's just been fun vibe, just chatting with everybody. So a little bit more low key this week, but I'll be back next week with giveaways, and I don't think I have a guest next week lined up yet, anyways. But you guys will know as soon as I, end up putting somebody on the books here. So I think we were talking retro. Ralph and I were talking about maybe 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out. We'll jump on together. So that might be the first one, and then I got some more people lined up as well. So should be fun. So I'm going to let you guys go, though. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss any other questions here. Yeah, always into Pepsi. This is my first time having the zero sugar, though, and it's pretty good. Not much. It's a little bit different taste than Diet Pepsi, but not major, nothing major in terms of the difference there. Yeah, Retro Ralph's good dude. I just talked to him for the very first time, and we've both kind of watched each other's content for a while. And there's always this like awkwardness between content creators sometimes, and I don't know. It's not always warm and welcoming. So I just try to reach out to people, and I think I need to do that more. Just reach out to people and introduce myself and make the connections. Somebody else I'd like to talk to is, and I've actually talked to and met in person, is Network Chuck, and he's not so much gaming. He does some gaming stuff, but mostly he does like, I guess mainly tech. And he's actually somebody that I learned a lot about Raspberry Pis from him, watching his videos way back when. So it'd be cool to talk to him, and we've met in person. So we do have that, that brief interaction and connection from meeting in Dallas a few months back. But he's a good guy too, really, really nice guy. So maybe he'll grace me with his presence someday too. But yeah, we'll figure it out and take it 1 week at a time. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let you guys, definitely check him out, Network Chuck, and I'll see if I can have a link for him. His stuff's like more like software and stuff. He did, let's see, he did a great video on the Raspberry Pi 5. I'm pretty sure it's just Network Chuck. Some people have like longer titles. Yeah, Network Chuck. Yeah, he's 3.74 million subscribers, so he's there. Jumped into it there. Here's the direct link, though. So definitely check him out. He has some really good information there. A lot of like hacking stuff and like, what is it called? Ethical hacking. He'll show you like how to make sure that you're not getting hacked and stuff like that, and dealing with malware, which is something we talked about. So lots of good stuff. But all right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great weekend. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, even though we didn't have any, giveaways or anything. I really appreciate you guys still showing up and chatting with me. And it was always good vibes as always. So we almost went as long as usual. So thank you guys so much. And I will see you back next week. We'll have giveaways again. And maybe I'll have a guest. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next 7 days. So thank you guys again. I'll see you next week, and I'll have some great videos out in the next couple of days as well. I think the next one will be either tomorrow night or Sunday. So stay tuned. Have a great weekend. Take care.